Today, I'm going to simulate what it would be like to raise Venom as a pet, from a tiny newborn symbiote all the way to a full-size, wall-climbing, shape-shifting, absolutely chaotic monster roommate. I'm going to feed him, build habitats, train him, test his abilities, and try to keep my house from becoming a black goo disaster zone. This is either going to be the coolest pet experiment ever, or the worst idea I've had in my entire life. And to start, this is Venom right now. He is not big. He is not scary. He is basically a shiny black blob in a containment bowl. But every few seconds he twitches, he stretches, he makes these tiny little tendrils like he's trying to figure out what hands are. And somehow, even though he's just a little symbiote puddle at this stage, he already looks like he's judging me. So, the first thing I need to do is wake him up and see what his personality is like before he gets bigger and starts doing actual Venom things. I gently tap the side of the container, and the blob immediately perks up and rises into a little dome shape. It slides toward my finger, presses against the glass, and leaves a black streak that slowly pulls itself back into the main body. Okay, that is weird, but also kind of adorable. Right now, Venom is tiny, only a few inches across when he's in blob form. He has no stable face yet, no full limbs, and no host body to bond with, so this is the least dangerous he will ever be. His teeth haven't formed, his strength is low, and he mostly just reacts to motion, sound, and heat. So before he becomes a giant nightmare athlete that can climb ceilings and throw cars, I'm going to start with the most basic pet owner test possible. Toys. I put down a rubber ball, a rope toy, a metal spoon, and a squeaky plush. The ball? He touches it once and ignores it. The rope? He wraps around it like it offended him. The spoon? Immediate obsession. He flows over the spoon, copies its shape for a second, and then forms this tiny little glossy spike like he's trying to imitate the reflection. It's like watching a baby octopus and liquid metal at the same time. Then I try the plush toy. He pounces on it. Well, pounces is generous. He sort of launches half his body onto it and sticks there. The plush squeaks, and Venom freezes like he just discovered a new law of physics. Then he squeezes it again. Squeak. He does it again. Squeak. Great. My pet Venom is already addicted to making noise. Next, I need to test how he reacts to me directly. I slowly offer one finger near the edge of the container. He stretches upward and touches my fingertip with a tiny black tendril. It feels cool at first, then warm, like he's adjusting to me. He doesn't bite. He doesn't lash out. He just wraps around the tip of my finger and kind of pats it. That's when he forms his first face. Two little white eye patches appear. A tiny mouth line opens, and I hear the faintest little growl chirp. Not scary. More like a baby trying to sound tough. Okay, he's curious, reactive, and clearly intelligent. That means we need to feed him. A growing symbiote needs fuel, and I'm not feeding him anything crazy. We're starting with safe test foods and synthetic nutrient gel to see what he actually responds to. I set up a tray with protein gel. It's cooked chicken bits, scrambled egg, blueberries, and a small piece of dark chocolate just to test preference. He goes straight for the protein gel. No hesitation. He absorbs it like a vacuum and instantly gets shinier. Then chicken. He likes that too, but he kind of kneads it first with the little tendrils like he's scanning it. Eggs are also a yes. Blueberries? He pokes one, pops it, and then slowly retracts like I betrayed him. Chocolate is the weird one. He doesn't eat it right away. He circles it, forms a face, and then takes a tiny bite like he's suspicious. Then his little eyes widen, and he pulls the whole piece into himself like he just unlocked a forbidden secret. I'm not saying chocolate is his favorite yet, but I'm definitely hiding my snacks from now on. Now that he's fed, it's time to build a proper habitat. A symbiote can't just live in a bowl forever. He needs environmental control, dark hiding spots, climbing surfaces, enrichment, and containment. And yes, containment is a very important word here. So I'm converting a large glass tank into a baby symbiote habitat. The habitat is going to have three zones. First, a dark cave zone where he can rest and stay out of direct light. Second, a vertical climbing wall with mesh and textured panels so he can practice adhesion. Third, an enrichment zone with objects of different materials metal, rubber, wood, and plastic so he can experiment with shape mimicking and grip. I start with the cave zone by stacking matte black rocks and making a hollow chamber in the back corner. Then I line it with smooth stone and soft fabric pads that can be removed and cleaned. For the climbing wall, I install panels with different patterns and angles so he can test what he sticks to best. Then the fun part, enrichment. I add hanging rings, a little mirror shield, a rotating metal disc, and a few chew-safe silicone objects. I also add a feed tray slot so I don't have to put my entire hand in there every time he gets hungry. Because that would be a horrible long-term strategy. Once the tank is ready, I transfer him in. At first, he flattens against the floor and stays completely still, like he's processing the space. Then he suddenly launches to the side wall and sticks there. Then the ceiling, then the back wall. Then he drops directly into the cave like a shadow with trust issues. I crouch down to look inside and two white eyes appear in the darkness. He likes it. Over the next few days, Venom starts developing a routine. He sleeps in the cave, explores the climbing wall, and gets more stable with his shape. Instead of being a blob all the time, he starts forming little pseudo-limbs. Tiny front claws, a thicker tail-like extension, and a more defined head shape when he gets excited. He's growing fast, and he's also getting smarter. One day I walk in with the feed tray and stop dead in my tracks because he's gone. Not in the cave, not on the ceiling, not under the rocks. Gone. Then I notice something move on the side wall. The wall itself looks darker in one patch, and the texture seems wrong. He's camouflaging. He flattened himself across the panel and color matched the shadow so well that I almost missed him completely. Then he peels off the wall, forms a little grin, and reaches for the food like he's proud of himself. That's equal parts impressive and terrifying. So now we start training. If Venom is going to get bigger and stronger, he needs rules, not just don't break stuff. Actual behavioral training. I make a simple target board and use a click marker sound. Touch target equals reward. Gentle contact equals reward. Hard bite equals no reward. Climb only approved areas equals reward. Try to slingshot yourself onto my face equals absolutely not. The first session is chaos. He hits the target. He hits my sleeve. He steals the clicker. He sits on the reward tray. But by the third day, he gets it. He starts waiting for the cue. He taps the target cleanly. He pulls back and looks at me for approval. And for the first time, I realize this might actually work. Then he discovers reflections. I bring in a polished steel plate for a texture exercise, and in Venom really sees himself, for the first time in a clear reflection. He forms a full baby face, tilts his head, then suddenly flares up into a much bigger shape like he's trying to look tougher than the thing in the mirror. He puffs out little shoulder spikes. The reflection puffs out shoulder spikes. He lunges, head bonk. He smacks right into the plate, recoils, then slowly turns and stares at me like I set him up. I shouldn't laugh. I did laugh. As weeks go by, he outgrows the tank emotionally before he outgrows it physically. He starts pacing. He tests the lid. He climbs faster. He waits near the door every time I enter, like he knows there's more space outside and he wants in on it. So while he naps in the cave, I build phase 2. An indoor training enclosure in the garage. Watch, this one is much bigger and designed for a juvenile Venom. It has padded walls for impact training, a full climbing frame, suspended platforms, a heavy pull rope, and a safe host mannequin station so he can practice full body bonding form without attaching to a real person. The mannequin is just a training dummy with articulated joints and reinforced surfaces. No superhero stuff. No dangerous experiments. Just controlled development. When he wakes up, I move him into the garage setup. He takes one look at the climbing frame and absolutely loses his mind. He sprints up one side, swings off the rope, sticks to the wall, launches to the ceiling, and drops onto the mannequin like he's been waiting his whole life for this moment. The symbiote flows over the dummy's torso and arms, and for the first time he forms a full miniature Venom silhouette. Head, shoulders, arms, long fingers, and a little chest rise like he's breathing. Then the mouth opens. Tiny teeth, tiny tongue, huge attitude. He stomps around in the dummy form for about 10 seconds, trips over his own foot, and crashes into a padded wall. Baby Venom is officially in his awkward growth phase. Now the training changes. We're no longer just doing target taps and calm contact. We're doing movement drills, climb the wall, drop to platform, swing rope, land on mat, release mannequin, return to cue point. At first he tries to skip every step and freestyle everything. It's fast, messy, and honestly kind of amazing. But gradually he learns control. He starts using shorter tendrils, cleaner landings, better timing, less random chaos. Oh, that's also when I introduce socialization. Very carefully. First is a friendly dog behind a safety barrier. Venom forms his baby face, raises his shoulders, and makes the tiniest, dramatic hiss I've ever heard. The dog wags once, sneezes, and sits down. Venom stares. The dog stares back. Then Venom slowly extends one tendril under the barrier and boops the dog's paw. The dog licks the tendril. Venom retracts instantly and climbs the wall like he just touched lava. He spends the next minute peeking from upside down on the ceiling. I'm calling that a successful interaction. Next is a cat. The cat walks in, sees Venom on the wall, and has exactly zero reaction. It jumps onto a crate, turns its back to him, and starts grooming. Venom is offended. He makes himself bigger. The cat ignores him. He makes a louder hiss. The cat keeps grooming. He forms extra spikes. The cat leaves. I have never seen a creature lose confidence that fast. Luckily, food fixes everything. By now his portions are much bigger. Whole chicken breasts, fish fillets, nutrient gel packs, and the occasional chocolate treat after training. He starts hoarding food in the cave corner of the garage enclosure, arranging it like a weird little pantry. That pantry becomes a problem one morning. I hear metal clanking from the backyard side of the garage and run out to see a raccoon halfway through the fence line, reaching for the fish tray I set out for Venom's breakfast, and Venom is already there. The raccoon and Venom freeze. Venom looks at the raccoon. The raccoon looks at Venom. Then Venom disappears. Just gone. The raccoon starts looking around confused, and then the fish on the tray starts sliding away by itself across the concrete like it's being pulled by a ghost. The raccoon jumps backward, nearly falls off the fence, and takes off. A second later, Venom reappears on top of the climbing frame, fish in mouth, staring down like a tiny black gargoyle. No screaming, no wild attack, just strategy. That's when I realize he's not just growing physically, he's becoming tactical, so we level up the training again. Now we start ability control, specifically impact restraint and low-power blast projection. In this version of the simulation, Venom has a plasma-like discharge he can produce through compressed symbiote mass and kinetic release. I set up a safe target range in the far side of the yard with heat-resistant panels, distance markers, and padded barriers. The goal isn't destruction, it's control. At first, he only produces little flashes and blunt bursts of force, like compressed air punches. He gets excited and overshoots. He blasts dirt. He spins around. He tries to celebrate before finishing the drill. But with repetition, he gets cleaner. Stance, focus, release, recover. One day, he lands a perfect centered shot on the target board, leaving a dark starburst mark exactly in the middle. He turns and looks at me, waiting. I throw him a whole fish. He catches it midair without looking. Absolute menace behavior. By this point, he's way too big for the garage. In full form on the mannequin, juvenile Venom is taller than my shoulders, stronger than any normal pet should ever be, and fully capable of turning my house into abstract art if he gets bored. So for the final stage, I take him to a massive controlled outdoor training site. An abandoned quarry that's been converted into a stunt-safe obstacle area. Big vertical surfaces, open space, wind, distance, no neighbors. This is where he learns what his full body can really do. The first time he sees the quarry walls, he goes still. Then he sprints. He hits the rock face at full speed, runs straight up it, kicks off, and sails across a gap to a steel platform like gravity is optional. He starts chaining movements together. Wall run, swing, drop, rebound, climb. He's not just strong now, he's athletic. And then he does something I was not prepared for. He climbs to the highest ledge, turns toward the open space, spreads his arms, and lets the symbiote membrane flare out under his arms and along his sides like gliding fins. He leaps. And for half a second, I think I made a terrible mistake. Then he catches air. Not true flight, but controlled glide. He crosses farther than he should, lands in a crouch, and immediately pounds the ground like he's hyping himself up. So now the quarry becomes the graduation arena. We run full sequences: stealth approach, vertical climb, target strike, controlled drop, recovery, recall cue. He nails some, he fails some. He overshoots one platform and faceplants into a sandpit, then stands up like nothing happened because his pride is apparently indestructible. During one late session, a storm rolls in over the quarry. Wind picks up, dust starts moving. Thunder in the distance. Normally I'd shut it down, but Venom gets weirdly calm. He climbs a rock pillar and watches the clouds. The rain starts, and instead of panicking, he settles into a low stance and starts testing his grip in the wet conditions. Short movements, strong holds, deliberate steps. He's adapting. So I run one final controlled sequence in the storm. He vanishes against the dark rock, reappears on a lower ledge, launches across a gap, hits the target with a clean blast, slides down a wet wall, lands right in front of me. No chaos, no loss of control, no overreaction, just precision. That's the moment he stops feeling like an experiment and starts feeling like a trained partner. For the ending, I bring him home for a reward feast. I lay out a giant meal: fish, chicken, steak strips, nutrient gel, and one tiny chocolate square placed way off to the side like a joke. He walks up in full confident form, looks at the whole spread, and without hesitation, grabs the chocolate first. Unbelievable. Then he takes the fish and retreats to his cave corner like it's his private office. I sit on the floor outside the enclosure while he eats, and for once he's completely calm. No pacing, no testing locks, no dramatic hissing at shadows. Just this huge black shape with white eyes in the dark, occasionally peeking out to make sure I'm still there. From a tiny blob in a bowl to a full-size Venom pet with stealth, strength, and enough personality for 10 animals, this might be the wildest pet simulation I've ever done. He's still chaotic, he's still dangerous if handled badly, and he would absolutely ruin a normal living room. But if you raise him with structure, trust, and a lot of reinforced walls, he's not just a monster, he's a genius gremlin bodybuilder with attachment issues, and honestly, that's kind of the perfect pet. If you want a part 2 where I build Venom an even bigger habitat and test him in a full urban obstacle course, let me know. And also let me know what other creature I should try to raise next. Because after this, I feel like my standards for a difficult pet are completely broken.